Welcome, English learners, to another English lesson. In today's lesson, we will be going over my personal favorite American idioms. So these are idioms that I personally use all the time, idioms that are quite common in the United States, idioms you might have heard in American films or read in American novels, and they just kind of made you go, what does that mean? Well, in today's lesson, I will explain 9 of my favorite American idioms. So if that's something that interests you, keep watching. So our first idiom is method to someone's madness. So it describes someone's actions which seem to be strange, which seem to make little sense, but in reality, there is a plan or a purpose for those actions. So let's take cooking, for example. Cooking can get a little messy. At least in my kitchen, at least when I'm cooking. Sometimes flour might get on the counter, sometimes sauce might get on your shirt, you might have to crack an egg or two. So it looks like madness, right? But in reality, there's a plan in place. You are trying to prepare a meal. And in the end, you are hopefully left with just a delicious meal. There was a method to all of that madness. Our next idiom, it's just water under the bridge. It's just water under the bridge. So this idiom, water under the bridge, describes a past issue or grievance that has been resolved or is no longer an issue anymore. So let's say my friend and I got into an argument and it got really heated and I called her a stupid smelly pig. And my friend gets really upset with me and she stops talking to me for a few days. And then I start to feel bad. Maybe I shouldn't have called my friend a pig, right? So I show up at my friend's door, I ring the doorbell, and I have some wine and her favorite type of candy, and I say, I'm so sorry for calling you such a horrible name. And she looks at me and she gives me a hug, and she accepts her wine and her candy, and she says, it's okay, Taylor. It's all just water under the bridge now. Meaning, I forgive you. It's in the past. It's water under the bridge. Our third idiom is to sleep on it. To sleep on something, but usually we just say to sleep on it. So usually you would sleep on something if it is a big decision that you have to make. So let's say you are at a car dealership and you are looking at a nice Range Rover and you want to buy this Range Rover. It's beautiful. You are in love. It's a nice blue color, but you haven't really put much thought into if a Range Rover is a good car for you. You haven't really done your research. You're just going off what you see at the car dealership that day. So maybe you shouldn't make that purchase so quickly. You might want to sleep on it, meaning you might want to wait until the next day to make a decision on whether you should buy that car. This is the one that I probably say most often, and it is such is life. So we say such is life in response to unfortunate yet unavoidable situation. So there are some things in life that we can't avoid. Paying taxes, falling down and skinning our knee, going through a bad breakup with our boyfriend or girlfriend. So there are so many painful, hurtful situations we go through in life, and sometimes we just have to say, such is life. That's just the way it is. We can't avoid these situations. We just have to deal with it. such is life. So let's take a break, and if you are enjoying this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, feel free to leave a comment. Let's get back to the video. Next we have the peanut gallery. The peanut gallery is a person or people who criticize other people over something unimportant. So celebrities are often the subject of the peanut gallery. People like to look at celebrities and criticize them over what they are wearing, their new haircut, how they are walking, what they choose to eat, over just anything. The peanut gallery is what we call these people. Our next idiom is down to the wire. Down to the wire. And this is to reach a point where you've almost finished a task, a game, a job, and how you finish that task, game, job, etc. determines the outcome. So perhaps this is the case in some sports games. So let's take a basketball game, for instance. You are watching a basketball game on television, and it's almost to the end of the game. The score is tied between the two teams. So we are now down to the wire. How this game finishes in these next few minutes or seconds will determine who wins. It will determine the outcome of the game. You are down to the wire. And next we have, that's the way the cookie crumbles. That's the way the cookie crumbles. This is said in response to events that are unfortunate, but can be changed. So it kind of shows acceptance of bad situations. So your vacation gets canceled due to bad weather. You just washed your car and then a bird poops on your windshield. Sometimes you just gotta accept that that is the way the cookie crumbles. Next we have food for thought. Food for thought. And food for thought is something that should be carefully thought about. Anything that should be carefully thought about. So let's say you are thinking about going to university in the United States, and you are pretty much set on going to Yale. You're very smart. And you buy this Yale shirt, you start doing more research on Yale, and then all of a sudden, Princeton calls you and says, hey, I want you to come to our university. We'll offer you a full scholarship. Well, now you have some food for thought. Princeton is offering you a pretty large sum of money to go to their university. Think about this carefully. Food for thought. And our last idiom is the pot calling the kettle black. The pot calling the kettle black. So this idiom is used when someone criticizes someone else for a problem, but the person who is criticizing that person also has that same problem. So let's say Andrew always criticizes you for your unhealthy eating habits, for always eating junk food, okay? And then one day you catch Andrew eating pizza and chips at lunch. Well, that is the pot calling the kettle black, because he is criticizing you for doing something, but he is also doing that same thing. And that is the end of today's lesson on my favorite American idioms. I really like to read and respond to your comments. Subscribe to this channel if you want more lessons on idioms. And until next time, English learners.